Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into the very heart of how businesses succeed, marketing strategy.
Yeah, it's fundamental. Peter Drucker famously said, right? Marketing and innovation.
Exactly. Those are the core functions. Everything else is, well, support.
Mm-hmm.
So, for you listening, our mission today is really to unpack the framework for building a marketing plan.
A plan that doesn't just, grab customers for a moment.
Right, but creates lasting value and captures
Ah.
it over time.
That capture part is key.
We're digging into a really insightful note on marketing strategy from Harvard Business School. It lays out a pretty structured approach.
And what's interesting right away is that focus on value, isn't it?
Totally.
It's not just like pushing products out the door.
No, it's about genuinely meeting a need.
And then figuring out, okay, how do we capture some of that value? Smart pricing, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. The note gives you that roadmap, that whole journey, a long-term plan for creating and capturing value.
Mm-hmm.
And this note, it kind of boils it down to two key activities for you to consider.
Okay.
First, identifying who your ideal customer actually is, selecting that target market,
And then
shaping how you want your product or your service to be seen by them. That's positioning.
got it. Target market and positioning. What's the second activity?
Second is crafting the actual game plan, the specific marketing activities, the marketing mix.
The 4 Ps people talk about.
That's often how it's summarized, yeah. But it's about the plan to achieve that desired positioning.
And these two, they're totally intertwined, right? You can't really plan the how without the who and the what message.
Exactly. You need that crystal clear picture first. The note really stresses these aren't just random guesses.
They have to be built on something solid.
Right. And that foundation, according to this note, is the 5 Cs.
Ah, the 5 Cs.
Think of it like your essential groundwork. Before you even think about tactics, it's about really understanding 5 key areas.
So it makes you ask, before you even launch anything, have you really looked hard at all 5?
Yeah, it's a comprehensive way to check your market and, well, your place in it.
Makes sense.
So let's break them down. First, C, customers.
Okay.
The core question sounds simple, but it's deep. What fundamental needs are we trying to satisfy?
Needs, not just features.
Exactly. Getting into their pain points, what they aspire to, what really drives their choices.
It pushes you beyond just what my product does to what problem it actually solves.
Right. Empathizing with their perspective, their journey.
What motivates them, ultimately. Okay, so customers. What's next?
Next up is company. So the focus shifts inward here.
To ourselves.
Yeah. You have to ask, what unique skills or competencies do we have to meet those customer needs? What are we genuinely good at?
Because sometimes businesses focus so much on customers and competitors.
That they forget to look at their own strengths.
Exactly. And that can lead to strategies you just can't sustain. This second C, company competence, is crucial.
It's about pinpointing your edge, your unique resources, knowledge, capabilities.
Yeah.
What sets you apart?
Understanding your own strengths. Yeah, and weaknesses too. It tells you which needs you're actually best positioned to tackle.
Okay, so customers, company,
Yeah.
then competition.
Right. Pretty obvious, but vital.
Who else is out there trying to satisfy those same needs? Who are we really going head-to-head with?
And it's not just the direct guys selling the exact same thing.
No.
You got to consider substitutes, right? Different ways to solve the same underlying need.
Ah, good point. Like entertainment options competing with each other.
Exactly. A thorough analysis helps you see their strategies, their strengths, maybe where they're vulnerable.
Okay. Fourth C is collaborators. This one might be less obvious at first glance.
Partners.
Yeah. Who can we strategically partner with to help us? And importantly, how do we motivate them?
Like channel partners, distributors, retailers.
Exactly. The note mentions them, and suppliers too.
Right, because they can massively extend your reach or capabilities.
Think distributors getting your product out there, retailers selling it.
Or even tech partners adding features. Understanding what motivates them.
And building that win-win relationship. Essential for a smooth go-to-market.
Makes sense. Collaborators. Okay, what's the 5th C?
And finally, number 5 is context.
The bigger picture.
Yeah. What cultural shifts, tech advancements, legal frameworks might limit what's even possible.
Things you can't control but have to react to.
Exactly. And the note stresses how dynamic this is. Context is always changing.
They mention the web, right, as a huge contextual shift.
They do. It's a perfect example.
And this context piece is so often underestimated, but it can be hugely disruptive.
Staying aware of trends, tech changes, new regulations.
It can give you early warnings
Mm.
or uncover totally new opportunities you'd otherwise miss.
Spotting those shifts early,
Yeah,
that can be a real competitive advantage.
definitely.
Okay, so now we've got a handle on the 5 Cs. The note then explains how this deep analysis leads right into the next crucial step,
Which is,
selecting your target market and figuring out your positioning.
okay, defining the playing field.
Exactly. The note really hammers home that strategy starts with the customer. This stage is all about deciding which customers to focus on.
And it mentions that evolution, right? From
Yeah.
mass markets
Yeah, where everyone got the same thing.
to smaller, more customized segments.
And now, with tech, even this idea of markets of one. Super tailored marketing.
It's a big shift.
So when you're selecting that target market, there are 2 key questions the note says you absolutely must answer.
Okay, what are they?
First, which specific potential buyers should we even try to serve? That's market segmentation.
Breaking down the big market into smaller groups.
Right, groups with similar needs or characteristics.
Yeah.
And second, how much customization should we offer them? Mass approach or highly personalized?
And the note gives examples of how to segment, right?
Yeah, lots of ways.
Mhm.
General descriptors like demographics, age, income, gender.
Geography, too, like urban versus rural.
Yep. And lifestyle hedonistic versus value-oriented, that kind of thing.
Those are the broad strokes.
But it also points out that sometimes the best segmentation comes from looking at actual behavior.
How people relate to the product itself.
Exactly. Like,
Right.
are they a non-user, first-time user, regular? How often do they use it? Light, medium, heavy?
What benefits are they really seeking? Performance? Or just the lowest price?
Even things like brand loyalty or their attitude towards the whole product category can be super revealing.
That PC example is good, targeting first-time buyers versus upgraders.
Right. Their needs, their knowledge, what they're looking for, totally different.
Which means your features, your marketing messages, they need to be different too.
The key takeaway is that your segmentation has to actually mean something for your marketing. If the segments don't need different approaches, it's not that useful.
Fair point. So segmentation isn't just an academic exercise.
No way. And the note makes this powerful point. By choosing a target market, you're basically choosing the rules of the game.
How so?
Your customers have their own criteria for buying. By choosing who you target, you're deciding which of those criteria you're going to try and win on.
Ah, okay.
Right.
So you're selecting the criteria you want to compete on.
Exactly. So when you're making that choice, which markets to go after, the note lists key things to consider.
Like what?
You got to honestly assess your strengths and weaknesses versus the competition.
Specifically on those customer criteria.
Right. Does it fit with your overall corporate goals? Do you actually have the resources?
Can you get the collaborators you need?
Yeah. And crucially, what are the likely financial returns? Is it worth it?
Okay, lots to weigh up.
And once you've zeroed in on that ideal target market, the next essential piece is positioning.
How you want to be seen.
Precisely. How you want your product or brand perceived in the minds of those specific customers. The note even gives a template for a positioning statement.
Oh yeah, what's that template?
It's useful.
No.
Our product brand is single most important claim among all competitive frame because single most important support.
That really forces you to be concise. Single most important claim.
Yeah, distills it down. What's the one key thing? Who are you up against in their mind? And what's the core reason they should believe you?
That because part is crucial. The proof.
It is. Now, the note admits sometimes one claim isn't enough. You might need a couple of essentials.
But the core idea is clarity. Be deliberate about the mental space you want to own.
Exactly. And it quotes a textbook saying, basically, if you solve the positioning problem.
It helps you solve the marketing mix problem.
You got it. Once you know who you're targeting and how you want them to see you.
All the tactical stuff, product, price, distribution, promotion, becomes much clearer.
Way clearer. It's like having a compass guiding all those downstream efforts.
Makes sense. Everything aligns.
Speaking of which, let's dive into that marketing mix, the famous 4 Ps.
Product, price, place, promotion.
Yep. The note credits Neil Borden at HPS for coining marketing mix, but he actually had like 12 elements originally.
12. Wow, like what?
Things like merchandising, branding, packaging, market research. You can see how the 4 Ps kind of group them together.
Yeah, it's a useful simplification, but good to remember it's complex underneath.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with product.
All right.
Now, the note makes a really important distinction right off the bat. The product isn't just the physical thing.
It's more than that.
Yeah, it's the total package of benefits, the customer gets. They call it the total product concept or augmented product.
Ah, so it includes the brand, the service, the reputation, everything surrounding the core item.
Exactly. That Land's End shirt example they use.
Right. It's not just the shirt.
It's the 24-hour shipping, the unconditional guarantee. That's all part of the product.
That's key for differentiation then. It's not just about features.
No, it's a brand name, reputation, pre-sale education, post-sale support, word of mouth, all of it.
Okay. So thinking about product also means product line planning decisions, right?
Yes. The note outlines 3 types: breadth, length, and depth.
Breadth is how many different lines, like desktops and laptops.
Exactly. Often guided by wanting consistency or synergy between lines.
And length is
Yeah.
how many items within a line, different price points.
Yep. Like a brewer adding a premium beer or a PC maker adding a sub-$999 laptop. That's about line length.
And depth.
Depth is how many versions of a given item, like a sweater in 5 colors versus 3.
Got it. Breadth, length, depth.
And the goal is always satisfying. Diverse customer wants profitably differentiating.
And thinking about how new stuff impacts the old stuff. Complements or cannibalization.
Right. And also, how does it impact the brand?
Yeah. Brand reputation. Can adding something dilute the core brand?
Exactly. They mentioned Lipton potentially diluting their tea brand with soup, or Sears Financial maybe hurting their retail side. Brand consistency and fit are crucial.
So those in line decisions. What about individual items?
Well, you've got decisions there too. Should we delete a product, reposition one,
Oh.
improve an existing one?
Or introduce something new within the line. Or start a whole new line.
Lots of choices. And that leads into the new product development process.
Which the note frames as proactive sequential, usually.
Right. Starts with opportunity identification, finding a customer problem you can solve, checking product market fit, product company fit,
Then you move into design and testing.
which the note says are often iterative. You get feedback, refine, get more feedback.
Concept statements, mock-ups, prototypes.
Yeah. Testing is crucial too. Surveys, taste tests, simulated markets, beta tests.
And you're not just testing the product itself.
No, you're testing the marketing mix elements too. Communications, pricing.
Makes sense. Get it right before you launch big.
Then comes product introduction. Which markets? Simultaneous rollout or phased?
And it doesn't stop there, right?
Right.
Product lifecycle management.
Absolutely. It's ongoing.
Yeah.
Learning from customer reactions, adapting to changing wants, segments, competition, tech.
It's dynamic, constantly monitoring, learning, adjusting, keep it relevant.
Exactly. Okay, let's move to the second P place, or marketing channels.
How you go to market.
Yep. The whole network connecting you to customers, from generating demand to actually delivering the goods.
And the customer's needs dictate what functions the channel has to perform.
Right. The note mentions Kash Rangan's 8 generic channel functions.
Things like product info, customization, quality assurance.
Lot size, assortment, availability, after-sales service, logistics.
And the key point is, even if you cut out a middleman.
Those functions still need to be done by someone. You don't eliminate the tasks.
Right. So it's about designing a customer-driven system to do those tasks efficiently and effectively.
So 2 big decisions here. Channel design?
Length and breadth.
Exactly. And channel management. Policies, procedures, keeping it running smoothly.
Let's talk design first. Length is direct versus indirect.
Right. Direct means no third party between you and the customer like your own sales force. Indirect uses wholesalers, retailers, distributors.
And it's not always one or the other anymore.
No. We see dual distribution using both. And complex multi-channel approaches. Retail, online, direct mail, sales force, distributors.
The challenge there is coordination and managing conflict between channels.
Definitely. Key factors for channel length. Things like account concentration.
If you have a few huge customers, direct might make sense.
Yeah. And how much control you need, how important direct customer contact is.
Okay. What about breadth? How intensely you distribute?
Right. Intense, like Coke everywhere. Or selective exclusive, like a luxury car limiting dealerships.
Selectivity makes sense if you need market education, right? Or lots of support.
Exactly. It's stronger if customers will search for it, if stocking costs are high, if it needs a lot of active selling.
But as products get well known, distribution tends to broaden, like PCs becoming available everywhere.
Generally, yeah. The challenge is staying flexible as the market changes.
Okay, so that's design. Then there's channel management.
Which is ongoing, not a one-off. Conflict is common, the note says.
Misaligned goals, unclear responsibilities.
Often. So Clear contracts, good communication like dealer panels, building trust, anticipating issues. It's all key.
Because even if everyone wants the product to succeed, their own priorities might differ.
Right. Proactive management helps keep things smooth and effective.
Got it.
All right. Third P, promotion or marketing communications.
Get the word out.
Pretty much. The girl is communicating with customers to build awareness, knowledge, interest, trial, and hopefully repeat purchase and loyalty.
You need an integrated plan, right? Combining personal and non-personal efforts.
Yes. The note introduces the 6M's framework here.
Mm-hmm.
Useful for planning.
6 M's.
Market OO. Mission, objective. Message, key points.
Mm-hmm.
Media vehicles,
Of
money, budget, and measurement impact.
comprehensive market, mission, message, media, money, measurement.
And the list of tools is huge. Non-personal. Advertising, sales promotion, direct marketing, PR, packaging, trade shows.
And then personal selling.
Right. A critical piece here is understanding the decision-making unit, DMU.
Who's involved in the purchase?
Exactly. What role does each play? Initiator, decider, influencer, purchaser, user.
And one person can be multiple roles.
Often. Understanding their roles, desires, perceptions. That's key to crafting communications that resonate with the whole DMU.
Makes sense. So let's look at the non-personal tools. Advertising.
Good for creating awareness, describing features, suggesting usage, differentiating, directing to purchase, enhancing brand image.
But maybe not great at actually closing the sale.
Often not. And we're seeing more targeted ads now, specialized channels, customized direct mail.
Okay. Sales promotions, samples, coupons, contests.
Yeah, short-term incentives for action.
Yeah.
Consumer promotions for end users, trade promotions for intermediaries, retail promotions by retailers.
And public relations, press releases, speeches.
Yeah, non-paid communication. There are casts, obviously, but you don't pay for media space directly.
Can be very influential, like a good review, but less controllable than ads.
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
The output isn't guaranteed.
Then personal selling. The big advantage is interaction, right? Tailoring the message.
Huge advantage, especially for complex products or where education is needed, like pharma sales.
And it's critical to define the salesperson's tasks clearly. Order taking, or demand generation, consultative selling.
Because that affects recruitment, training, compensation. Everything.
Okay, so how do you put it all together, constructing the mix?
Well, the note mentions push versus pull strategies.
Push is incentivizing the channel. Pull is creating end consumer demand.
Exactly. Push focuses on intermediaries. Pull aims to get customers asking for it.
And with so many communication options now, crafting that mix is more complex.
But also potentially a bigger source of competitive advantage if you get it right.
It really highlights the need for a strategic, integrated approach, not just throwing tactics out there.
Totally. Which brings us neatly to the final P, pricing.
Okay, money time.
Yeah. The note explains that the first 3 Ps, product, place, promotion, they largely determine the perceived value.
How much the customer thinks it's worth.
Right. And that perceived value sets the ceiling for your price. Effective pricing captures some of that value.
So price isn't arbitrary. It reflects the value created, and it's how the company sustains itself.
Crucial point. So the pricing basis and objective. Costs set the floor, usually.
But the strategic question is, what are you trying to achieve? Maximize short-term profit or gain market share quickly?
Which leads to that contrast. Skim versus penetration pricing.
Skim is high initial price for early adopters, then maybe lower later, like hardcovers than paperbacks.
Exactly. Penetration is lower initial price for rapid sales, maybe to deter competitors.
And penetration works best if customers are price sensitive, if there are economies of scale, if competition is a threat.
Those are key conditions, yeah.
Right.
Plus, having the capacity to meet demand. The note also talks about price customization.
Charging different prices to different customers for the same thing.
Essentially, yeah, because different customers value it differently. Think airlines, car rentals, yield management.
Sophisticated stuff. How else can you customize?
Well, developing product lines with different features prices. Controlling availability of lower prices by location or timing.
Offering discounts based on buyer characteristics, like upgrade discounts.
Yep, or based on transaction characteristics, like quantity discounts.
Lots of ways if you can manage it.
Finally, the note mentions price leadership and interdependence.
How competitors react to each other's prices.
Right. You have to think about how rivals might respond and the danger of price wars.
Especially with high fixed costs, low differentiation, slow growth.
Yeah, those conditions make price wars more likely and damaging. The goal is to price effectively for yourself without wrecking industry profitability.
It's a balancing act. Compete, but don't start a race to the bottom.
Exactly.
Eh.
Okay, so we've covered the 4 Ps, the tools for bringing the strategy to life.
But the note circles back, right, to the foundation.
It does emphasizes again that all this rests on that initial 5 Cs analysis. It underpins everything.
And it revisits them with a bit more depth.
Yeah. For a customer analysis, it really dives into the decision-making unit, DMU, again.
Who's involved, what role? Initiator, decider, influencer, purchaser, user.
Understanding all those roles, even when one person plays several. The home computer purchase example is good for illustrating that.
And also the decision-making process, DMP. How do they search for info? What criteria do they use? How important is price versus performance?
How do the DMU members interact? Where do they buy? How do they use it? How often? How important is the problem it solves?
And you need this analysis at a granular level for segmentation to work.
Definitely. Then company analysis is that clear-eyed assessment of your own strengths and weaknesses.
Financial, R&D, manufacturing, other assets, ensuring that product company fit.
Competitive analysis is understanding competitors deeply, strengths, weaknesses, objectives, strategies to find your differentiation and predict reactions.
Collaborator analysis means assessing your partners downstream and upstream.
Retailers' cost structures, margin needs, support requirements, suppliers' quality, reliability, lead times.
And context analysis is that ongoing monitoring. Culture, tech, legal, social trends.
Always changing. Spotting shifts early is key to long-term success.
So the 5 Cs analysis feeds the strategy.
And ultimately, you need that economic analysis. Does it make business sense? Fixed costs, unit contribution, expected sales. Is it viable?
Gotta check the numbers.
Absolutely. So to wrap it up, this deep dive really showed how these pieces connect.
The 5 Cs analysis, then target market selection and positioning.
And then using the marketing mix, the 4 Ps strategically.
It all works together.
Yeah. And as this HBS note makes clear, a well-defined, well-executed strategy is just essential for creating and capturing value sustainably.
Hopefully that gives listeners a valuable lens on how businesses really operate and succeed.
I hope so.
And maybe a final provocative thought for people listening.
Go for it.
How might these ideas, target market selection, positioning, apply beyond just products?
Like to ideas or even personal branding.
Exactly. What market are you trying to reach with your skills, your ideas, your personal story? And what distinct position do you want to occupy in their minds?
That's fascinating. Applying marketing concepts to, well, ourselves and our ideas.
Something to mull over, maybe? How these frameworks extend beyond just business.